Hey everyone, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm Dylan Stafford. These little lunch and learns are for round one and round two admits this year, but we're obviously going to share this with everyone from round three who gets admitted subsequently. The two last week on leadership at Anderson and our global access program, and the two this week, today global management, and then tomorrow career services. I wanted to really shine a spotlight on four elements of the Anderson experience. Bonus, except not bonus, because this is all baked into the experience. But to me, these are differentiators that are they're not just nice to know. These are elements of the journey that you go through as a mid-career working professional committed to aiming higher and achieving bigger outcomes. And of course, you're going to have incredible faculty in the classroom. But in addition to that, you're going to learn in the hallways, and you're going to learn in clubs, and you're going to learn in the atmosphere, not just in the classroom. And then specifically what we're going to talk about today, you're going to make the world your classroom, and you're going to travel the world if you choose to through our incredible global immersions and global exchanges. And today we have the executive director of Global Immersions of the Center for Global Management, Lucy Allard, as our guest speaker. But before I introduce Lucy, I'm going to start with a 30-second video. You guys know I love storytelling. I love first-person narrative of this experience because I think we all benefit when we hear each other's stories. I'm going to share a 30-second video from a graduate last year. Her name is Leon Moss. She did a pivot from commercial banking to real estate private equity during her FEMBA experience. And in this 30 seconds, she explains how she landed the job of her dreams while on a global immersion experience to Chile. And to me, this 30 seconds possibly is the most condensed 30 seconds of first-person testimonial that I've ever heard in the hundreds of hours that I've delved in this. So let me just share screen real quick, and you're going to hear directly from Leon Moss, 23, and then I'll give you her LinkedIn. Let's see, where is share screen? Where did it go? Why am I? Oh, here it is. Thank you, Dylan. User error. Okay, here we go. 30 seconds. Leon Moss, class of 23.
How are you? The mountaintop moment of my MBA career was when I achieved my full-time offer in real estate private equity. When they say networking is 50% of your MBA, they are not kidding because I didn't apply to a regular posting to get this job. It was all from networking. Last year, I went on a global immersion trip to Chile with UCLA, and I actually met an executive MBA who ultimately gave me this offer at his company in real estate private equity. Ironically, the name of my new company translates to Mountain Peak as well. I think it's very fitting.
Okay, so a couple of things to point out there. Third year FEMBA, executing a career pivot, found a whole new world that she really didn't know about when she started. I'll send you the link. You can watch the full video. It's about 3 minutes long. You never know where you're going to find that connection. She found hers on a bus in Chile that led her. She started FEMBA in Hawaii. She moved to San Diego. She completed FEMBA working in Beverly Hills in real estate private equity, hired by a fellow classmate from the executive MBA program that she met on a global immersion. So with no further ado, I'm about to introduce Lucy Allard, who is the executive director for our Center for Global Management. She's also a peer of mine. I've had the pleasure of working with Lucy. She took over this role in 2007, which was the year my older son was born. So 16, almost 17 years now. Before UCLA, her career was at CB Richard Ellis, also Deloitte. And most possibly importantly, she herself is a graduate of our executive MBA, global MBA with the National University of Singapore. So she actually has two executive MBAs, one from UCLA Anderson, one from National University of Singapore. And with no further ado, I introduce Lucy Allard and appreciate your time in advance, Lucy. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Dylan, for that introduction and for the kind invitation to talk to the admits from I think the FEMBA class of 2027. It's difficult to believe that we're actually saying 2027. So welcome and good afternoon. I do have a few slides. I'm also going to play a Global Immersion Sizzle video as well. So just bear with me as I share my PowerPoint here. Okay, and there I am in the corner down the bottom. But yeah, I do thank you for taking the time to join today's session and for your interest in learning more, and not just about the global immersion and international exchange opportunities, but all the global opportunities that would be available and that are available to you during your 3 years in the FEMBA program. So as Dylan mentioned, I'm the director of Anderson's Center for Global Management, which is usually abbreviated to the CGM, and we're the area at the Anderson School that's responsible for both managing and overseeing the global immersion and international exchange offerings on behalf of the school. They are our two signature offerings, and I'll go through both of them in a bit more detail later. But during this 15 or 20 so minutes that I think we have together, I'll be sharing some broader context around the role of the center at the Anderson School and providing a brief snapshot on our courses, our programming, our opportunities for you to engage both on campus, virtually, and around the world. Some of you may be interested in global immersion or international exchange. Some of you may want to do a deeper dive into our specialization in global management, or others might just be curious about our offerings and what the CGM is really all about. So I do want to just briefly talk about, provide some context around the center and really our role within the Anderson School. So clearly the world around us has been changing very dramatically. We face tremendous issues and challenges, both domestically and globally. And these challenges require increased cooperation and collaboration across borders, across both the public and the private sectors, and across industries and functions. And they really underscore how interconnected the world is and how domestic well-being is affected by the rest of the world. So basically, now what happens anywhere really matters everywhere. And at the Center for Global Management, we firmly believe that to be a successful leader, whether it be in business, in government, or in public policy today, you really must know the world. And so we play a central role at Anderson to provide programming and courses to really help facilitate this and to help broaden your understanding and awareness of global issues, global trends, and their impact on business, society, and management practices, and also bring a global and multicultural perspective to the Anderson community. So we really accomplish this through a variety of academic, immersion, and experiential learning courses and programming. And if I were to sort of categorize our key thematical areas where our courses and programs are really focused, they would be technology and entrepreneurship, environmental and social responsibility, and geopolitical and trade issues. And what we like to say is that, to put it simply, that the center brings the world to our students through a variety of on-campus, hybrid, and virtual global management courses and programming, including policy forums, discussion series. We have a mentoring program as well, but we also take our students out into the world through a variety of global travel study and experiential learning courses and programming. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but this slide really just highlights the plethora of opportunities available for engagement during your 3 years at Anderson. I will focus on those two that are highlighted here, the global immersions and exchanges, but we also host throughout the academic year a variety of discussions which are really designed to engage students in dialogue with faculty, with board members, with alumni, and really with thought leaders around current issues that transcend borders and that impact global business and the political economy. Recent discussions with alumni have included, is globalization passé, from Barbie to AI, looking at Brazil's role and advances in fintech with Adalberto Bruin, who's the governor of the Central Bank of Brazil. Is China still investable? Looking at the rise of India, and also generative AI and how that will change products, services, industries, and society around the world. And all of our discussions are offered in a hybrid format for those of you who might be in the hybrid section and virtually, and sometimes they're just purely virtually as well. But one very important way that we do bring the world to our students is through our variety of on-campus and hybrid and virtual global management courses. So this is just a list of the courses during this current academic year, just to give you a sense of when they were taught, the variety of them. We have a terrific course on global trends that looks at the rise of populism and protectionism, climate change, new technologies. One of the latest courses looks at entertainment globalization that was introduced this year. We have courses on ESG, which is obviously a hot topic. And in fact, we'll be doing our first global immersion focused on sustainability this September. We'll be traveling. Technology and society as well has a very strong global orientation. So this just gives you a sense, but we really help to connect students. And I think connect is an important word here, and provide you with even greater opportunities to network, acquire global perspectives and insights on trends across sectors, as well as across key emerging regions of the world, so that you can gain a broader understanding of their impact on business and society as a whole, locally, regionally, and globally. So I mentioned that we bring the world to our students, but we also take our students out into the world through a variety of global travel study and experiential learning courses and programming. And as I mentioned, our two signature offerings are our Global Immersion courses and our international exchange. And one or both of them might be one of the reasons that you decided to apply to Anderson. So what are Global Immersion courses? So before I go through some slides, I'm gonna ask Dylan, if you wouldn't mind, please, just playing. We have a 2-minute Sizzle video where you actually get to hear from some of the students, from some of the alumni who have participated, but also an opportunity to hear from some of the faculty who have taught these courses as well.
All right, Lucy, here we go.
There is no way you can be a successful business person in the 21st century if you don't know the world.
If students want to be current on latest trends in technology, they should go and learn and see China. Students will also get an understanding just broadly of what technology looks like across the world.
Getting to know a new country, it is exciting, it is engaging, it is surprising. But in addition to that, it's a rigorous program.
So the workload and these immersion classes are just as robust as any other class you would take. It just has the added benefit of going in country, but the workload, the expectations are exactly the same.
On the Chile Immersion course, we met with politicians, former heads of the central bank, CEOs, founders of major startups. So we had speakers that were real decision makers in the country.
One of the great leadership opportunities we saw were how different business leaders are able to come up with solutions that really target their social issues and that really motivate them personally.
One of the most exciting parts of these global immersion programs is meeting with our UCLA Anderson and UCLA alumni all over the world.
I think this is the only course that let you bond with the different friends from different programs, eat exotic food, but also same time meet industry leaders. So this is absolutely one of the best experiences at Anderson.
The students' experience in Johannesburg and Cape Town, visiting the townships and meeting with local social entrepreneurs, really motivated them to make an impact in their own communities.
This experience has made me entertain the idea of working abroad and ultimately maybe starting my own venture one day, which is something that I never would have entertained or expected prior to the course.
The Center for Global Management was integral to enriching my experience here at Anderson.
Ending the global immersion in Israel, floating on the Dead Sea with some of your new friends, that was for me a really top hallmark of my experience, on top of, again, all the different learnings that I had from this program. So please join one of these global immersions and see for yourself.
You only go to grad school or business school once, so you're not going to get this chance again. Take the immersions. You are making a mistake if you are not taking a global immersion course before you leave Anderson.
Okay, Lucy, back to you. Oh my God, YouTube, hush. Okay, back to you, Lucy.
Thank you, Dylan. I think I just need to share my screen again. So we'll go back through. So hopefully that gave you an opportunity to really hear firsthand from some students and alumni. So these are just some stats. That actually said 70 plus. We're close to 90 now. We run about 7 of these a year, but this just gives you a sense. Since these courses started back in 2008, so we visited 32 countries. We just added our 32nd. We went to Cuba with Dean Fratius in December. That was the first time, a very successful course. And we'll be adding a couple more countries as well. But hopefully this gives you a bit of a sense. And close to 25, 30 faculty who teach in our MBA programs also teach our Global Immersion courses as well. So they're 4-unit elective courses, so they're not mandatory to graduate, but they really expose you to a country's economy, its political environment, its major industries and businesses, startup communities, tech scene as well. You also have an opportunity to explore the local culture, learn about the key historical events, and really the many different aspects of conducting business outside the United States. It's a blend of classroom learning followed by 1 week in country, where you have an opportunity when you're there, you're not being lectured by the professor who's accompanying you, but rather you're hearing from local prominent business leaders, academics, politicians, senior policymakers, successful entrepreneurs, including many UCLA and UCLA Anderson alumni who address some of the most important business, economic, social, and political aspects of the respective countries. Those are complemented by company and startup visits, contextual visits, and cultural sessions, as well as networking with alumni that helps to complement the curriculum as well. And I think really provides you with, or provides students with, many transformative learning experiences. Some courses focus on doing business in other countries, but many focus and revolve around a central theme. So you heard in the video from Professor Gail Northrup, her South Africa Global Immersion course explores social innovation and social entrepreneurship in Cape Town. So when you travel, you're not meeting with large multinationals, you're actually going out into the townships, meeting with the local social entrepreneurs. The recent Greater China Region course that traveled to Singapore, and Yanine spoke, she traveled last year, but we just returned during spring break from Singapore for a second year, looks at the impressive areas of innovation and the dynamic role of technology in the Greater China region and the broader Southeast Asia region. Our India course looks at the business environment of India, but from the perspective of entertainment and finance in Mumbai. And then we fly down to Hyderabad, where the focus is on technology, biotech, and healthcare. We have one coming up in December this year, where we're going to Vietnam, and that looks at entrepreneurship in developing countries. So we try and make sure that they're timely and relevant and really provide you with unique insights that you can't obtain by traveling on your own. As I mentioned, this September, we'll be traveling to Belgium, to Brussels, and to Amsterdam, and that focuses on sustainability. And we'd have a lot of lessons to learn in that regard from Europe. But one of the beauties and benefits of these courses, as you also heard, is that they do embody the One Anderson ethos and offer significant networking opportunities, not just within sections and class years of the FEMBA program, but also among all the different programs. I think they're actually the only course at Anderson that are available to students from all 4 of our MBA programs, the FEMBA, the full-time, the executive, and the UCLA NUS Global Executive MBA too. And again, as you heard from Lee, you have the opportunity to network with alumni in country as well. And really, we have tremendous alumni all over the world. And we will offer networking receptions, but they also host us. They serve as guest speakers as well. And I think you really do, they provide you with the opportunity to develop lifelong friendships with students from the other 4 programs. So when we travel during the breaks, and we work very closely with the various degree program officers and with career services as well to make sure that we avoid almost every, if not all, conflicts. So you'll travel during spring break, usually the first week of September, and during winter break. There are 3 classes on campus before you travel, but those classes are FEMBA and EMBA friendly times. So they're typically on a Saturday or a Sunday. And if you're a hybrid student, they're after that. So don't worry about that. Again, we coordinate very, very closely. Or they might be on a Friday evening as well, but they won't conflict with other classes. We do work very closely to ensure that we minimize or there are no conflicts. So again, I've mentioned this is a 4-unit elective course. We offer 6 to 7 of these courses a year. Usually we have 1 in September, 2 in December, 3 in March, and we accept up to 40 participants, students in each of those courses. And remote participation, which again, if you're a hybrid student, you can apply to remote participation. If you're in Austin, Texas, if you're in New York, we don't expect you to fly in for class unless you have other hybrid classes that weekend. Obviously, we welcome you to, but it's not an expectation. So during the application process, you can apply to join the 3 pre-travel and 1 post-travel classes remotely. These do need to be taken for a letter grade, and if you are pursuing the specialization, and there is a specialization in global management, then these courses also count towards that. You can actually take 2 global immersion courses, I believe, that count towards your FEMBA units for graduation. And these are very separate and distinct. You might have heard about some student treks that are organized by students for students, but these are very, very separate and distinct. They're managed by the Center for Global Management. They're academic courses, and they give you 4 units of elective credit. There is a program fee involved as well, which is in addition to your tuition. So the program fee usually covers 6 or 7 nights, double occupancy in a 4.5 star hotel. If the program is Mumbai and Hyderabad, it will include the one-way transfer. It does not include the international flight. It includes a number of the meals in country as well, transportation to and from visits, networking reception. There's usually a winery visit if you're going to some of these countries. That's typically incorporated as well, but that there is a program fee, and that is in addition to tuition. There are some fellowships, some limited fellowships available, which are needs-based fellowships. And because these are 4 units of credit, and if you might need additional funds, then you might want to consider applying for a student loan. I think you can do that both for the program fee as well as the international travel as well. But, you know, obviously, as we've learned over the last couple of years, there's always risks and uncertainties with international travel. So please know that we do work very closely with UCLA's Office of Insurance and Risk Management on best practices and protocols. Some of these countries might require a security briefing as well, but you'll be notified of that. But your health and safety are our main priority. And so just quickly to give you a sense of the upcoming courses over the next 12 to 15 months, we'll be traveling, as I mentioned, to Brussels and to Amsterdam for our first sustainability-focused course in September. And then in December, we'll be going to Vietnam. As I mentioned, that looks at entrepreneurship in emerging countries. We'll be going to both Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. We'll be going to Peru, where the focus will be on balancing environmental protection and economic growth. And then next March, Colombia, Japan, and then, of course, focused on the Greater China region. We'll either be going to mainland China, or we'll be looking at the Greater China region and broader Southeast Asia region from the perspective of Singapore. I have a few photos, couldn't leave without a few photos, but this just gives you a sense of our latest global immersion when we went to South Africa. You can see here, it's very, very interactive. There are breakout groups, really interactive sessions when you're in country. This was Chile. We had a group that went to Chile, as you just heard from the earlier video, and students were there in December. So they were there on the day of Chile's second referendum of a new constitution. So they're at a real pivotal time in the history of Chile, and got a sense of what it's like for business leaders to live in it and work in an environment where the future rules of the game are still being determined. We were in Cuba as well, looking at both the history and economy of Cuba before and after the Castro brothers assumed power in the late 1950s, and we visited. We heard from speakers and had visits in the energy, mining, tobacco, rum distillery. There's a photo there as well, hospitality, tourism. But it was, and you can see the classic cars, but it was a truly memorable experience. Somewhat challenging to get there, but we got there. And hopefully we'll have another opportunity to visit in the not too distant future. And then, in India, we went there again in December. As I mentioned, healthcare focused, media and entertainment. We mentioned some of the studios in Bollywood as well. Peru's coming up, and can't go to Peru without a visit to Machu Picchu on the back end as well. And then, as I mentioned, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. And this was Singapore. And some of the companies we visited included Shine, Alibaba, heard from Tencent, visited Meta. We have a very strong alumni network out there by virtue of our dual degree partnership with the National University of Singapore. And Dubai and Abu Dhabi was a recent global immersion a couple of weeks ago. So global immersions, as Dylan mentioned earlier, are not only a differentiator for the degree programs, but I think also for UCLA Anderson. And they do really, as you heard from the testimonial students in the video, provide extremely memorable and transformative learning experiences, tremendous engagement and networking opportunities, and are really, I think, a lot of fun as well. So our international exchanges, so we do have 1 week international exchanges, which are conducive to working student schedules, and they're offered over the summer. And these are our partner universities this summer. And you'll travel to these schools and take up to a 1 week courses there, anywhere from end of June to beginning of September. It really varies depending upon their academic schedule. It's very different to Global Immersion. In Global Immersion, you're out and about meeting with local companies, hearing from guest speakers, panel discussions, fireside chats. Here, you're actually going to another university, being lectured by a professor from another university, sitting in class with students from that university, as well as potentially from universities that are also part of their own international exchange as well. And so CEIBS is a new partner for us for this year. So international exchange, unlike global immersion, there's no program fee. It's based upon tuition reciprocity, but you are responsible for coordinating and paying for your own travel, logistics, visa, etc. You are enrolled at Anderson in a 4-unit elective course, and the course or courses you take at the partner school make up about 60 or 65% of the final grade for this course. You actually have 2 very important Anderson research assignments as well, a country report that helps you educate yourself before you actually go there, and then an industry report where you can relate what you learn in country to your own industry of interest as well. And so we usually send about 50 or 60 FEMBA and EMBA students combined on exchange each year. And if the number of slots available varies by partner school, it could be as low as 3 or it could be as high as 10. 10 is usually the cap. So it is, again, an application process similar to global immersion and can be quite competitive. But as FEMBA students, you have 2 opportunities to go. And it's not rare for students to go on an exchange at the end of their first year and another exchange at the end of their second year as well. So I think they're truly amazing learning experiences. And like global immersion, you can build lifelong friendships. You learn a lot, not just about the country and the region, but also from the professors and your classmates. And I think in any one given year, global immersion and international exchange combined typically enable around 300 FEMBA, EMBA, UCLA and US EMBA and full-time students to participate in travel abroad programs each year. I'm not going to go into this, but just know that there is also a specialization in global management that provides an opportunity for students to demonstrate even further their interest in global management. It's more of a deeper dive, and you can customize your academic curriculum and preparation in the areas of global management and global business as well. And that you're not going to be short of events. We do put on a number of events, but really, helping you emerge from Anderson with that really important, critical global management mindset, so that you have an increased understanding of global cultures and markets, and really an intuitive grasp of managerial, operational, and policy issues from a global perspective. So I think, as you've probably seen from all of this and heard from Dylan and heard from the students, Anderson is a very international, a very cosmopolitan environment. The global elements are really prevalent as a result of everything that's taking place both on campus, but also virtually and around the world as well, with the immersions, with GAP, with the international exchange courses as well, and really do provide some of the most meaningful, memorable, impactful, and transformative shared learning experiences that Anderson has to offer. There's many different opportunities available, whatever your areas of interest are. We're an industry agnostic center, and we just hope that there'll be something for everyone, whatever your interests and focus during your time at Anderson, to really help supplement your academic curriculum and train and equip you to become future global leaders who are aware and have an understanding of the global issues and trends and their impact, as I mentioned earlier, on business, society, and management practices. And I think whether you are looking to be or are a senior manager at Deloitte or an investment banker at Goldman or a serial entrepreneur, you'll be a more valuable employee and more successful in your career if you're more well-rounded, more well-informed, and have a broader perspective and understanding of the world and an appreciation of the diversity of the people in it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. We look forward to the opportunity to engage with many of you and hopefully have the opportunity to travel with many of you as well during your time at Anderson. So I think maybe with that, we will open it up to Q&A.
Well, thank you, Lucy. I know we're asking you to do a lot to try to digest 300 global trips a year into 15 or 20 minutes, but I so appreciate your time. So just as and we have a couple of current student guests also, and we have several staff members. We just appreciate everybody's attendance. For those of you who are in the class of 27, any question, no question too big, too small. I think I may share this with the executive MBA too. So you're asking a question not only for yourself, but also for the round 3 admits and even for maybe our executive MBA students, because I think I'll share this with them. But even maybe before, David or Clayton, do you guys want to say anything? Just because we have a couple of guests here. Clayton Moore is our Rising FEMBA Council President. David Luong is our FEMBAssador Co-President. So even just anything you guys would like to add before we open it up to questions from our new admits. I so appreciate you all getting to be here with us today.
Yeah, thanks. I will say, I definitely recommend making the most out of these resources. I was one of the Cuba Global Immersion students, and I'll be going to LBS this summer as part of the Global Exchange. So really milking the resources for what it is there. It changes you. It's definitely like you think you're like, oh, it's something that I could do on my own, or well, not so much Cuba. This is something I could do on my own, or this is not really worth it. But it's just the content that you get there, especially with the global immersions. The exchange is TBD because I haven't done that yet. But with the global immersion, it's incredible. There's the speakers you would never be able to find on your own. It's just the amount of effort that the CGM puts into source these amazing speakers. The coursework is there, and it's to really solidify your understanding of the culture and the societal problems that may be over there. It really makes it so that by the time you get there, you're ready to talk to these speakers in a very meaningful way. Definitely recommend any of them and all of them if you can.
Thanks, David. And Clayton, David and Clayton didn't know I was going to call on them, but I'm calling on you.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity because I did not actually know that David was going on an international exchange possibly, and we could be going together, which is fantastic. Would just ditto all of David's comments. Can't speak highly enough for this office as well as these programs. Looking very forward to the international exchange that I'll be taking part in, just to be a representative for the UCLA community as well in these classrooms with fellow Anderson, but also just a great way to connect with other people that come from different cultures or a different society, and just kind of having that also play through the rest of your Anderson experience and helping to sculpt into future global leaders, which we are all hoping to be.
I think there's one thing that's missed though, Lucy, is the August block where the exchange happens in reverse, and there's that opportunity to meet other people from around the world as well. I don't know if could you touch on that really quickly?
Yeah, of course.
And there's 5 spots for FEMBA for each of those classes.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So as I mentioned, the international exchange is based upon tuition reciprocity. So we might send 10 students to London Business School. In return, we receive 10 students from London Business School. And even though I mentioned that our students go out on exchange anywhere from the end of June to beginning of September, students coming to Anderson on exchange all come during a particular week in August. And that week is during the Executive MBA block week, when not only our Executive MBA students are taking classes, FEMBAs are also participating in those classes, and our UCLA and US Global Executive MBA students are participating in those classes as well. And so we have a networking reception. So you get to meet the EMBAs, the UCLA and US EMBAs, the FEMBAs who are participating during that week, all of the international exchange students. And we also invite our students who are participating on international exchange as well. So if you haven't already and you wouldn't have gone to LBS, by that time, you'll have the opportunity to meet students from LBS who, when you do go there at the end of August, beginning of September, you'll be able to reconnect with. So that's a really important networking opportunity for you over the summer as well. So David, thank you for bringing that up.
And Lucy, I promise you guys can ask questions, but I've been on 2 of these. The dean sent me to China and India. And what amazed me on the India trip was that maybe 1/3 of the attendees were Indian heritage students. And I asked them, you know, like, wouldn't it be more interesting to go someplace? And it was so, like, my world was broadened when, you know, our FEMBAs who come here for graduate school, get a great job, and they blink and a decade has gone by. And it was so informative for me to hear from our Indian heritage, but US-based working H-1 visa students. Dylan, I don't even recognize India when I go home now. I go home once a year. It takes 24 hours to get over there, but I'm in the family bubble when I go home. And I get to meet my country in a way that I would never get to meet my country by participating with the Global Immersion. I'm meeting industry leaders, government leaders. So for some of our students who ultimately will repatriate after their chapter in America, so it was just fascinating to me to realize, wow, some of our students use these global immersions to plot their re-entry to their home country. And that just, to me, that was one of those mind melt moments where my world got bigger. So that's the complexity of the background of our student body and how these opportunities help you customize your experience. So anyway, sorry, commercial end scene. Questions? What questions? Andy, Daniel, any of our guests or anyone?
Just to give you a sense, as a first-year FEMBA, so we send out, I mentioned that this is application-based, so we tend to send out the application, I think 5 or so months before the actual travel week. And so you'll be first eligible to travel in spring break of your first year, which means you'll actually be getting your application probably in October. So you'd only have been on campus a few weeks. And as an eligible student, you will automatically receive the email. It will come from the Global Immersion email account, but you'll likely be receiving that sometime in October. And then we go through the application process because the on-campus classes will start in January. And there's a lot of travel and logistic arrangements that need to be done in advance as well. But that just gives you a sense. So you'll only be on campus a few weeks and you'll start receiving emails from us about the upcoming global immersions that you'll be eligible to apply for. And then as it relates to the exchanges, the application for the exchanges typically, I think, goes out in February time. So, we have detailed Brew and Learn portals as well, where you'll be able to see the courses that were offered on exchange for this year and for prior years as well. And that will give you a good sense and hopefully an indication of the upcoming courses that will be offered as well. And same with Global Immersion. We tend to plan Global Immersion sort of 12 to 18 months ahead, recognizing that you as FEMBA students have quite a number of opportunities to go on Global Immersion. And so you might want to know what else is out there. Maybe if you can only go on one for whatever reason, whether it be financial, time off work, etc., it's always, I think, helpful to know what's coming up in the pipeline.
Well, I don't know. We may have overloaded. This may be too much. There's nothing you have to think about right now. That's the beauty of this. This is all downstream, beneficial. I don't even want to call it bonus because I really think it's something you don't want to not take advantage of, but you don't have to do these trips, but they really are highlights from all the student alumni interviews that I do.
And I think one thing that's really important is to know what's out there. You know, not everything's going to be of interest to everybody, or maybe it will be of interest to you in your second or third year when you have more time to maybe focus on it. But just to get an understanding and awareness of the variety of resources. I mean, we're just one center. There's a number of industry-focused centers available at Anderson. So we have a lot going on, but they have a lot going on, which means you certainly have a lot going on. And layered on top of that, if you're looking to do on-campus recruiting as well, there's just a lot on your plate. But know we're here. Know that the Center for Global Management is here to serve you. And we are a resource for you, both as a student and as an alum. And feel free to reach out to me anytime. And Dylan can put you in contact with me. If you have any subsequent follow-up questions, I'd be delighted to chat with you either before you come to Anderson or during your time here. But thank you for taking the time to join today's session and for your interest in learning more about what's available.
And Lucy, we just appreciate your time and all you do on behalf of all the programs. Thank you. You really lead from the front, and I know you change people's lives. I've heard way too many people tell me. And David, thank you for underlining that. And Clayton, also, thanks for being here. All right, I'm going to pause recording or stop.